The Hargan family lived in McLean, Virginia, in one of the most prominent and expensive areas of town. Homes here ran well above $1 million, with neighbors including diplomats and politicians. Pamela lived there with her oldest daughter, 37-year-old Megan, and Megan's 7-year-old daughter. Although Megan was married at the time, she lived with her mother because she was having money troubles. She was struggling with employment, and her marriage was possibly on the rocks considering her husband lived in West Virginia while Megan lived in Virginia. Whatever the reason for Megan and her husband not living together, Pamela took care of Megan's needs for quite some time while Megan lived with her. Pamela had 3 daughters, Megan the oldest, Ashley the middle, and Helen the youngest. Pamela's youngest daughter, Helen, lived in Dallas, Texas with her fiancé, Carlos, and had just graduated from university. At 23, she was working on making a name for herself with a new career and a loving fiancé. Helen was in the process of building a home in Texas, and things like this usually take a while and rarely finish on time. So while waiting for the home to be built, Pamela suggested Helen live with her and Megan in Virginia to help save money. It was a big house with plenty of room, and the money saved could go towards Helen's new home expenses. Helen took her mother up on the offer, and the Hargan women lived together that summer. Pamela and her husband had divorced when their children were young, and Pamela raised her daughters as a single mother, so Pamela and her daughters were all very close and were used to living together. The only difference now is that they were all in a bigger house and adults.
Could you tell me your name, please?
Pamela Hanson Hargan.
What can I do for you today?
I was told that I could do a wire transfer.
Oh, you get ready to buy a house?
For my daughter, yes.
All right. Do ASA verification. Great job. Who am I speaking to?
Who am I speaking to?
My name is Jeff with Capital One.
Okay, this is Pamela Hanson Hargan.
Somebody tried to do a wire out of your account for $400 and some odd thousand.
What? I did not do that.
On July 13th, Pamela received a call from her bank to verify a transfer of $420,000. This transfer was said to be for the purchase of a new home. Pamela, completely shocked by this discovery, assured the bank that she had never initiated this transfer and that it must have been a case of identity theft. She immediately stopped the transfer and was now aware that someone was trying to access her bank records. The next day, July 14th, the McLean Police Department received an out-of-state call from Carlos, Helen's fiancé.
I won't answer the phone, and I'm thinking my girlfriend's life is in danger.
Okay, sir, what I need you to do then is contact your local jurisdiction, file a report with them, and tell them that Fairfax County requires a teletype in order to do a welfare check.
Fire, how may I assist you?
My girlfriend told me that her sister killed her mom. Now my girlfriend won't answer her phone.
Okay, was this just out of the blue? Your girlfriend is sitting in a house with a dead woman.
Yes.
It seems that because Carlos was in Texas calling the Virginia Police Department, things didn't go as quickly or smoothly as they probably could have. Now, I'm not sure why upon hearing that someone's life may be in danger at this very moment that it really matters where the call is coming from, or that an operator would then suggest that the caller hang up and then call his local police department, which is in Dallas, nowhere near Virginia, to go through the proper channels to alert the police department in Virginia that a murder may or may not be happening. It seems to me that once you first figure out what it is that you need to do, and then second, actually go through the process of doing it, that whatever crimes you believe may have been happening have now happened. And I understand that there are certain protocols and rules for a welfare check, but when the words murder, killed, or currently in danger are used, that it's more than a welfare check and that urgency is key. But maybe that's just me. The police arrive at the Hargan home, unsure of what they're about to uncover, whether there was a threat currently in the home or whether there was a threat at all. When they went inside, they found Pamela in the mudroom with a gunshot wound to her head. She had a blanket placed on top of her with her cell phone found partially on top of the blanket. Helen was in the upstairs bathroom, also shot in the head, and a rifle in her lap. No one else was in the house. 2 bodies, and Helen holding the murder weapon. The police were leaning to the idea that it could have been a self-murder situation committed by Helen.
Family members are found dead inside this $1 million home. A woman kills her mother and then turns the gun on herself.
Or at least that's what they were telling the media. In reality, they thought the scene was staged to look that way, even though the facts laid out in the murder scene did not add up. The size of the rifle and where Helen's entry wound were did not match. It would have been very difficult for Helen to have done this to herself, considering the wound was on the top of her head and where the trigger was on the rifle. There also wasn't any gun residue found on Helen's body, even though there would have to be in order for it to be self-inflicted, and there was no blood on the rifle, suggesting that it wasn't pressed against or close enough to her body. Helen's cell phone was also free of any blood or fingerprints, suggesting that it was wiped clean. So with the police aware that it was actually a double homicide, they turned back to the 911 calls, where even more confusion ensues. The operator repeats, "The sister killed her mother," where some took it to mean that Helen is the sister in this scenario, and that maybe Megan or Ashley were the ones calling Carlos. An upset Carlos clarifies that Helen calls him in a panic, stating that her sister Megan had just murdered her mother and that she is now on the computer transferring money from her mother's account. Carlos begged her to leave, but Helen refused because Megan's 7-year-old daughter was there and she was afraid of what might happen to her. Helen was in the house hiding from Megan while she made these calls to Carlos. Carlos says that Helen hangs up and is no longer answering any of Carlos's calls or texts. He immediately called the police. Whereas I stated earlier, instead of reacting right away, they refer him to other numbers because he was calling from out of state. Moments later, he gets a text from Helen's phone saying, "Everything is fine. I'm not mad at Megan." Again, Helen's phone was wiped clean after this text was sent. After hearing what Carlos had to say and the mention of Megan in Helen's text, the police turned their attention to Megan. The police investigate where Megan was at that moment and at the time of the murders. They call Megan to tell her what had happened, and she is in complete shock and disbelief. She told the police that she was currently in Maryland and that she would be rushing back right away.
What's happening? What happened? Oh God, what are we gonna do? Jesus, what are we gonna do? Yeah. I just don't even understand. We were at the freaking house.
Megan quickly accepts the story that Helen committed this crime, that it was a shock but not unbelievable that her sister would do something like this. In fact, to back up this theory, in Megan's interview she tells the police that her sister Helen was spoiled and possibly on drugs, that Helen's anger and depression must have finally caught up to her.
Helen has been so angry. Like, just so angry all the time. I knew Helen was depressed. Like, to do this. Like, I can't wrap my head around this. Something had changed. Like that. This was not my sister. This was not Helen. This was...
What do you mean? You mean,
just the person she's become. It's just not her sister.
She also makes sure to mention that her mother Pamela had decided just that morning to cancel the contract on Helen's home because she didn't want Helen and Carlos living together, and that her mother was now closing on a house that she was buying for Megan in West Virginia since Megan was reconnecting with her husband. She says that this news must have been what made Helen snap. But suspiciously, no other person knew about these plans but Megan.
Husband and I literally just closed on our new home yesterday. Oh God, it's wrong.
It seems that Megan was jealous of the relationship that her mother and Helen had, and the fact that Helen was becoming successful herself may have added to her envy. But what really fueled the fire was when Megan found out that her mother was actually helping Helen pay for her new home in Texas. She felt that she deserved the same, if not more, considering she was the older sister. She had a family to take care of, and Helen was young and single. it only seemed fair that Megan receive any money over Helen, even though she and her daughter were living rent-free in her mother's luxurious home in one of the best neighborhoods money could buy. When Megan found out that her mother was helping Helen, this is when the attempts at the wire transfer started. How she expected to get away with stealing $420,000 from her mother's account, or even explain how she received this money, I don't know. But when Megan was alerted that her mother had stopped the transfer, she became enraged. It's unsure whether Pamela found out and confronted Megan about it, or whether murder was always her plan B if the wire transfer fell through.
I don't know. I didn't know. He just told me there was a wire.
I'll explain.
Okay. I have done none. Those accounts are not to be touched. Period.
Right, those accounts aren't to be touched. She never gave anyone authorization to make wires out of its accounts. You did that on your own.
This isn't.
Okay.
But isn't that true?
I'm trying to walk you through this here.
Just tell us the truth. That's all we want to know.
I have to understand this. There's no way I can understand this unless you explain it to me. And there's more calls. Okay?
Because you try again on Friday.
I tried again on Friday morning.
No.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I was with her. Okay.
The problem is you can continue to lie, It just digs yourself a deeper hole.
Listen,
Okay, I'm fine.
Okay. I just want you to understand.
No, fine.
You're fine about what?
I already. Okay.
You're trying to think right now, how am I going to talk my way out of this?
No, you think
Okay. Do we think we killed your mom? Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Oh my God!
Yes, we do.
She caught you wiring on Friday.
It's okay.
Absolutely. Convince me that you didn't.
We have you.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
No, not at all.
She didn't approve this $418,000 transfer. And just imagine the shock to everyone that your name is on the bank statement.
Hold on a second.
Just like the stuff that was hidden in the apartment, in the house.
Let's look. I'll show you.
This is she, Hanson Hargan.
Who's that?
Okay, actually, I'm going to be recorded for quality assurance, okay?
This is on the 14th
Just
at 12.
most recent request.
The police were able to link Megan with the attempted online wire transfers and phone calls made the day before, the day of, and even the day after the murders.
Yes, we attempted to yesterday, and there was a bit of a mix-up, so we would like to do it again now. Okay. They need it today.
Okay, so then at 12:09, your sister, Helen, calls Carlos and says, my sister just killed my mom and she's transferring money. And lo and behold, guess what? We find your voice on a bank line transferring money. It's true, we just listened. You just listened to it.
No, that's not what I'm saying though.
So what? Explain. So all this looks like you killed your mom and sister. So help us.
Helen would have let me go. She would have not called somebody.
What you're not saying is no, I didn't kill
No,
her.
no, I said no, I didn't.
You did.
No, I said no, I didn't.
Okay, just help us understand. Help us understand. Yeah, you're very nervous because you realize what you've done.
No, I'm saying this like.
It's crazy. I agree. But you got caught taking $418,000 out of your mom's account.
Here's the big issue. He just explained it to you. We know what time Helen calls Carlos, okay? We know, and it's before this phone call. We know that. We know what Helen told Carlos. We then know what you do after this, okay? So we already know that your mom's dead at 12:09. Listen to what, let me explain it to you and then you explain it to me. I already know that your mom is dead when that phone call is made. How does her phone get over to where her body is and set on top of where she's found? Listen to what I'm saying.
And how?
She tells him that at 12:09. Okay, that's right around the same time that you're on the phone doing the initial call to ask for that second wire transfer on Friday morning. Okay, I know it is. No, don't shake your head. I know it's the same time.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
The police found logs online showing Megan's multiple failed password attempts before she finally called the bank and impersonated her mother. The police finally arrested Megan Hargan in November 2018. Megan stuck to the story that Helen was the murderer, but in 2022, Megan was sentenced with 2 life sentences for the murders of her mother, Pamela Hargan, and sister Helen Hargan. In the end, Megan's jealousy and entitlement ended multiple lives, and she didn't get anything from it. Thank you for watching.